Moving on now to item 6A on the agenda, discussion, consideration, and possible action on the historic landmark preservation ordinance and related zoning ordinance amendment. Mr. Heath has been working on this. Actually, this has been being worked on for quite a few years now. Part of the problem was that so much of the ordinance or ordinances at the time were convoluted, mixed in, and crossed over, and we had to just pull all of that apart. And in the process of doing that, and Mr. Heath, correct me if I'm wrong, on the back side of the map that you have is a new zoning ordinance section 155.27. Okay? And right now there is a 155.27 on the books. This will whittle that ordinance down to what is here on this piece of paper now. Okay? It retains the original historic district boundaries that were established. So that is one change that we're going to be implementing. The other is, of course, a completely new chapter that now will completely erase section 155.28 and large portions of 155.27 and become its own standalone chapter under land usage. So if there are no questions about the 155.27 change, then let's focus on 158, chapter 158. Councilwoman Ramsey.
Yes. Going through and knowing that it was from here and here and here and here, I really want to say thank you to you and Stephanie for how you've taken and condensed this down from 25 plus pages to basically 11. And your definitions and all the information not only being in one place, but they're clearly stated. I understand them, which that should mean everyone understands them. So we want to thank you for all the long, hard work that was put into that. And, you know, in my opinion, and that only counts for me, I recommend we approve it with the changes that have been made.
Other council members?
I want to say I'm very pleased that we'll be changing this to 5 members versus what it is 7. That's not been workable in the past.
Actually 9.
9.
8 and a,
9,
yes,
yeah.
very difficult.
5 or a quorum.
Yes.
I do have a few things. Some of them are typographical, but I do have some questions as I went through and read this. And as you know, you and I have worked a lot on this. I was on the preservation board and had to deal with the two for quite some time. So if you want to just make some typographical notes.
And I may have already made them, but
I may have already.
You may have already caught. Okay, under definitions, the second page of definitions. So it's actually on page 3, I'm sorry. Where it says historic preservation overlay zoning district. Should read, shall mean the overlay zone as described. As described. On page 5. And are you going to be removing the parens around things like the red?
Yes.
the red will be removed in total.
Okay.
Yeah, I've
That's
already
only
done
to
it. So
highlight the summary of the
Okay.
intent.
I
Yes, I had to
do.
read through, and I did this with the Preservation Ordinance Commission.
I do have some concerns with subparagraph 5. The city council may terminate any commission member upon cause of an appropriate hearing or upon the absence of over 50% of the scheduled commission meetings within a calendar year. Having been on that board before, I think that 50% is way too many. I would lower it to, I would recommend either upon 3 consecutive regular meetings. Folks can't always make a special meeting if it's called, but if they miss 3 regular consecutive meetings,
Say 4.
otherwise, 4 possible, but usually, and understand, this is like an unexcused, I mean, if they're just not there, if they call sick or something,
Misheard me, did you say 50% or 3 meetings?
no,
Or you just saying 3?
just 3 meetings, 3 consecutive meetings, regular meetings.
Means you could skip 2 out of 3. Be closer to 60%, so.
Pardon?
You could skip 2 out of 3 meetings.
3 consecutive.
Three.
The term consecutive
Yeah.
is what he's.
If you're saying.
I see, okay. Well, then we could make it 3 consecutive or 50% of the meetings. The intent here being obviously clearly is that if someone is, well, I'll go tonight because I feel like it, and good point, on missing, Okay,
So leave it over 50%.
and add
and
or, or, yes,
Is that without an excuse?
yes,
Unexcused.
unexcused.
Okay. Councilwoman Ramsey?
May I make a side note for the
Sure.
city secretary? That as we're setting up, the policies are through all the other boards and commission, that we make sure that this same consistency is carried from the 4B board to the council to the NC board, that we make it consistent across the board.
Yes,
Okay.
there needs to be some type of, yes,
Councilman, this is 3 elections.
with things like the BOA and the P and Z, they may be a little bit different because,
Well, they're established
they're-
by an ordinance, so.
right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
I have to change that.
On
Bill?
pay, go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I don't think you can remove a council member from missing meetings since they're elected.
From council meetings, no, not from the council, we can't.
Okay, I thought I heard
Did
a
I?
comment that,
I'm sorry, I didn't,
okay,
Yeah.
just clarifying.
I was letting my hummingbird mouth overload, you know what?
We're fine.
The boards appointed by the council are the ones that we're focusing on. Same page, sub-item, or subparagraph C, subparagraph 5. It confuses me. My question to you is, what is it saying? Review and recommend to city council and other applicable city boards and commissions all proposed changes to zoning ordinance, general plan, or other adopted policies of the city that may affect the purpose of the ordinance.
I guess it should say this ordinance.
Well, this, it should, but my other question is more this, is, are you talking about the aspect of, if there's new construction or additional construction or something in the historic district, before those plans are approved, they're supposed to go through the preservation board?
Correct.
So you're talking in that, because as I'm reading this, pretty much any changes that you make in the zoning changes are gonna, or general plans or whatnot, it's just not clear what you're saying.
So that was straight off the state template.
And sometimes you have to
Yeah,
play with it a little
that's
bit,
true. That's true.
because I understand that your intent is to ensure that the preservation board has input before final decisions are made on new construction, alterations, etc., zoning changes within the historic district.
Because the sentence is long of legalese many times
Yes,
and not short, more perfectly, power words that review and recommend to city council flows through if it has to do with proposed changes to the zoning ordinance, general plan, or any other policy that is affected by this preservation ordinance. If this preservation ordinance has an effect, the HPC reviews and recommends to the city council.
Correct.
So it's just cleaning up that wording.
Yeah, that would,
Okay.
before, we need to clean it up.
Maybe two
so that-
sentences instead of one.
Yeah, because if it's confusing me,
Wow, and it could, we're on the same page on this one, because I understood it. Hey,
I'm not even gonna say what that says about me.
So,
So-
simple sentences on it.
Yeah, make it simple sentences.
Instead of run on.
Same page, sub-item 16, end of the line, where it's, I would say eliminate by demolition.
What kind of?
Let's see where it is.
6.
Recommend to
Number
city
16.
council the acquisition of endangered landmarks where its preservation is essential to the purpose of this ordinance and where private preservation is not feasible. By demolition doesn't fit, or either, or in order to prevent demolition through neglect or whatever. I'm just saying, if you eliminate by demolition there,
Okay,
it gives the same purpose, because that would be the only time that the preservation board would make that recommendation. Couple bullets down, 18, last word, article, I believe should read ordinance.
Well, it's an article in the city code, which
It's pursuant to this article is what it currently has.
So it's article current, we're now adopting ordinance, correct?
well,
Correct?
the ordinance will go into the city code, and I think that's what this is saying, that it is amending our city code to reflect this ordinance.
Sure. Well, I think it should be worded
Ordinance.
ordinance if it's gonna be reflecting this ordinance.
Okay.
So what is it changed to?
Ordinance.
Now, are you thinking because when they do recodification, things are gonna be articles as opposed to ordinances? No?
No, there, yes. In the
That-
code, it will be a chapter, an article, a
Okay.
chapter, a section,
Okay,
a subject.
and that's where I see article coming from, okay. All right, section 4. That's appointment of the historic preservation. Mr. Heap, I know you're not gonna like me for this, okay? But I would strike the city official,
okay.
and I would take out the HPO must have interest, knowledge, etc. Because to meet those qualifications from our staff at our size,
Okay.
as a must, we cannot do it.
Okay, so the entire,
The HPO must have an interest, knowledge, that entire sentence.
okay. That was just straight state temp.
Right, and I
Right,
understand
city
that, but
force.
they're written for
Understand,
Houston.
understand.
So you're saying that should read, the city administrator or his designee shall appoint a qualified
Staff
person?
person, staff person. As is, keeping it basically the same way we have right now, because of all the responsibilities, that really is the only way we can do it. Page 8, item 4. Where it says 15, in the last part, last full line, 15 days between that, or after that, should be prior to the scheduled hearing. So it's there for the 10 days, but not there for the 15 days in the official newspaper. Right below it, item 5, just make sure we strike the bow legs around building through structure.
Okay.
Section 6, subparagraph B. Second line towards the end, after applicable, strike the following from.
Okay, with the subsection which, section 6B.
B.
And I'm sorry,
Would you mind reading how you want it changed?
Section 6, subparagraph B, middle full line towards the end, where it says, where applicable, comma, strike the following from, so that it reads, and where applicable, the Secretary of the Interior standards for rehabilitation of historic buildings.
okay.
Subparagraph D, right below it, there should be an apostrophe between the commission's second sentence. Subsection 7, the third line, or actually the second line, starting with shall not be granted, strike by the, keep without, insert and approved, and strike the review of a completed.
Okay, so shall not be granted
Without an approved application for a certificate of appropriateness by the commission. Section 9, page 10. Council members, I need you to please take a look at that for a moment. In order for there to be clarity, and I think that the original intent of the tax exemption was for 5 consecutive years. But that was not in the original, nor was it in the redo. And it has caused some problems in terms of tracking the 5 times that people have been qualified to draw it. My recommendation would be exempt from real property in the red portion, exempt from real property ad valorem taxes levied by the city of Glen Rose for a period of 5, and I would insert the word consecutive years. Do I have consensus from the council?
But they don't have to do it for consecutive years, correct?
That's only because that it has not been, those people who currently still have, okay, will come under the old. I mean, when they get their 5 years and they get their 5 years
So if
in.
you do 2 years and you don't do it 1 year, you can't do
You
it.
lose that
You
1
don't-
year that you don't. Yeah, it's on you as an individual. It's an incentive that the city has given a citizen to maintain their property at that level, okay, to get the exemption. But there is a degree of responsibility on the part of the citizen. We've made it available to them. But it's on them to remember that, oh, I do have to file this form by this date in order to get the exemption. And so they get it for 5 consecutive years. If they forget 1 year, it would be an individual responsibility thing. Council? Is that? Councilwoman Ramsey, I see your lips puckering together there.
Do they get a reminder?
Generally, the Preservation Board will send notices out. I think they send them out in, I believe they send them out in either August or September. The deadline date is October 31st, so that they can be before the city council in the December meeting so that everything is approved by the January then they have to still go over to the tax folks across the street. But yes, they do send a notification out. Councilwoman Ramsey?
My concern in this 5 consecutive years, and I didn't see it dealt with any other place. If I own a historical property for 2 years and I sell it, and the new owners choose not to do anything for that first year, so they've lost a year on that particular property, or is it by ownership?
It's by ownership. If you sell the house, it does not transfer to the new owner. If you've had it for 2 years and you sell it, it doesn't transfer to the new owner can reapply for a landmark, okay, status.
So, okay.
But it's 5 years total, isn't it? I mean, you're not gonna have an
Is it
option.
5 years per property or 5 years per owner?
Well, that is another good point then, that perhaps we need to deal with
See,
this
that's,
issue.
I just have a problem putting consecutive in there because,
Well, then we
we need to find out if it's 5 years per property or 5 years per owner.
Okay, that's a decision then that we need to discuss now and make, because I can tell you that in neither of the other two documents, or in any of the minutes pertaining to those meetings, can we discern anything at all as to the intent of the council during those discussions. Originally, it was 10 years tax exemption, but it didn't specify consecutive, it didn't say whether it was, just tied to the property or tied to the owner. It didn't say any of that, Councilwoman. So it is a good point that we need to bring up now, and we need to decide.
So, this is where I may have been wrong, but if a piece of property has a historical marker on it, and I die, and my family chooses to sell it, the new owners have to apply for the historical marker, because that's no longer a historical landmark? Is that what you're saying?
In order to get the benefits, they would.
I thought it went with the property.
The house structure is still landmarked.
Yes.
It's always
The
landmarked.
structure, it's a
That's what it
resource,
is.
it's
That's where you're
landmark.
But the
confusing.
new
Okay.
owner, we would apply for the tax break. On the
Okay,
new
see,
owner,
that's where I'm
Okay,
confused with
that's-
you. That's
okay.
where I'm confused with you. That's where I was.
Okay. Yeah, either way, they have to apply for the tax exemption, okay, new owner or otherwise. The landmark, I'm sorry, the landmark stays with the property. So the question is the 5 years going to be with the property, or is it with the owner?
Well, I feel like the new owners, this is just me, I feel like the new owners are to have made available to them. If it's a landmark and they're keeping it up according to all the preservation and historical guidelines, they need to have an opportunity to apply for that tax exempt also. So, I mean, I say if you want to change it, exempt from real property ad valorem levied by the city of Glen for a period of 5 consecutive years per owner.
Okay?
I
5 consecutive
don't agree
years
with
per
that.
owner.
Okay, that's fine, I'm just,
I would think it's typically the people that own these properties are not disadvantaged. And how's that fair to the rest of us that pay our new property taxes every single year? I don't live in the historical area, I understand. If it goes to each owner, then it could be unlimited, it could go on for.
well, my thing is it takes more to keep up a historical property than it does my property or your property. And so they really, because they can't change anything without it coming before the preservation, historical preservation. And if they want to add or whatever, there may be parts of it that are not as they originally were when the structure was built, and they want to restore it back to that. They're investing money in that, which also raises the property value. So I really think that it needs to go per owner.
But
I mean, I didn't choose to buy a historical house, so I don't have to.
Councilman
worry about
Jones?
I like it by the owner because if somebody moves into a historical building, they've got a lot of enthusiasm, and those first 5 years, they're going to be pouring money into it. There's real estate numbers out there, people hang on to properties for 7 years when they turn them over, and this will give somebody, will keep those properties, those historic properties maintained well. When it changes owners again, somebody's going to have an opportunity to put more money back into it and maintain it that way. So I'm in favor for owner. I'd also be in favor of keeping it for 5 consecutive years without application, but that's just keep it simple work.
We mean, did you say without application?
Yeah, once they acquire it, they apply for it once and they get it for 5 years.
We have to notify, we have to tell the county each year which properties apply. And part of the application process is to go out and to certify, to make sure that the property has been kept up to the standard. That's part of the recertification, or the
Okay.
redoing
I'll
of the
give you
tax.
that one. My concern is also, is our board going to give them a certified letter or just a regular letter in the mail? And the reason is, if I had to deal with the CAD office recently on an issue at hand, my address is identical to somebody else on Big Bend Trail and Bernard Street, and we missed a lot of mail, and they were trying to hold me accountable. We went back to, when we're talking about property taxes, we went back to a certified letter format to make sure that they received it. I mean, you're talking about penalizing somebody who are actually assessing people because of notification. I want to make sure that they get the notification they have to respond to this. And they don't.
Okay, well, because I can tell you, during the time that I was on the preservation board, and we sent those letters out, the owners did, I had owners who came and told me, I forgot to send my application back to you. I received the letter, I just forgot to send it. Okay, so they missed out on that year of their taxes. Now, they could file the next year for it. We can go to it, but that's gonna be an increased postal cost for the preservation board. That's the other side of it.
How many properties do we have in this?
We only have, what, like
52.
52,
I've got the list right here when.
but how many are remaining? How many, we have 52 landmarks?
This is, it says tax exemption for Glen Rose historic landmarks.
Okay,
52, applied and approved, applied and denied, eligible, not applied, nonprofit agency, no taxes assessed. And the collection, you know, it's 5 consecutive years. So they've given them, they've actually, when they missed one, they tacked it on at the end, so it would be 6, 7 years.
but how many structures do we have remaining that are still qualified? Because I know that I know when I was there, the list had pretty well exhausted.
That's, because I haven't been sending these out, Stephanie has.
Okay.
The tax list says 52. There
Okay,
may be others that are not applying at this time because they've already exhausted it. They've owned it for 30 years.
Okay.
Every
Love to
list
check
I've
and
seen
see.
is about that long. This is just the one that counts.
Well, they
counts
can send the notification out like a certified mail to make sure that, you know, that it's received. But we go back to the question of, that's kind of an aside, coming back to tied to the property or by the, per owner, number one, number two, consecutive, or just whenever they fill it. Councilman
Doesn't
Moore?
basically the ordinance say by owner, in the event the property is sold, the tax exemption will not follow the new owner.
That's what
Be
this one
immediately
is now
rescinded.
saying. But that is because the new owner would no longer, or the old owner wouldn't be eligible for the tax. The new owner would have to apply for it.
they currently have to show us that they've done any improvements?
They're supposed to.
Evidence that they,
They're supposed to, and the property is supposed to be looked at by a committee from the Preservation Board prior to that determination being done. Council? I hear Councilwoman Ramsey saying that she thinks that it needs to be, per owner, 5 years per owner.
I concur with
5
that.
consecutive years per owner.
I concur with that.
Councilman Jones?
I would just say 5 years per owner, because if they miss the mail or something like that, they get elected, but I'd still say 5 years per owner.
Okay. Councilman Moore?
I'd be more inclined to do property, not owner, but that's to the majority
Councilwoman
of
Ramsey?
council.
I'm having a real issue with it's almost, the paragraph that Councilman Moore, let's go along, I'm kind of taking a rabbit trail, but any tax exemption sold, limited to, or when it's sold, they lose that exemption, it does not follow the owner, and will immediately be rescinded. I would like to see something somewhere in here, since we're in this discussion, that new owners must reapply. I'd like to see that put in that paragraph, because the way this leaves it is a big question, and we're gonna be faced with that situation again. So that clarifies that section, and also put a T at the end of.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't catch that going through it the first time, but, I don't really have a problem whether we want to do a period of 5 years or 5 consecutive years. Where I want to clarify is that it's for per owner. So whatever the council's choice is, whether 5 consecutive, 5 years per owner. Because in reality, the way it's reading, whether we put consecutive years or not, the way it's reading is, that it's 5 years.
Yeah.
And if they fail to apply for 1 year, they've missed that 1 year. And, my opinion, nobody else's, is that if you're gonna live in this historic house, in this historic district, it's your responsibility to know that every year, at the same time, you have to apply. And, we're adults, hopefully, and we need to assume some responsibility and not be enabled.
Councilman Jones?
On a similar note, when you buy and sell agricultural land, if you went out and bought 100 acres of property that was agricultural exemption or ag status, as a new owner, you have to reapply for that status.
Exactly.
Okay.
So we're
Exactly.
very consistent with that.
Okay. So, then make it 5 consecutive years per owner with incorporating the clarification that Councilwoman Ramsey and I agree. So it's very clear, new property owners must apply for the tax exemption. Well, all the property owners have to apply on the annual for the annual, but it just doesn't, they don't automatically assume.
Yes.
And that the Preservation Board will send certified letters out to qualified properties, okay? Paragraph right below it, about midway through the paragraph, and that may be the one that Councilwoman Ramsey just caught, the T on event, is that what you were talking about?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, we've already caught that.
Recapture of taxes, subparagraph A, the last O line, take the D off of date. right below it, subparagraph B, I think we can eliminate the if comma and just start it with in providing. Subparagraph C. That one confused me. Councilwoman Ramsey? Did that one confuses me. It says, a tax lien attaches to the property on the date this determination is made. It is removed from the district to secure payment of an additional tax and interest imposed by this section. Am I missing something here?
Well, what I understand is if you're given that tax exemption and you have a tax lien on your property from IRS or from a bill collector, you don't get that exemption for this year. Am I misinterpreting that? Or is that?
That's
what
a lot
that
of this
says.
is state template.
Right.
And-
But that's what I understood it to say. I mean, you don't get an exemption on something that's got a lien on it.
Right. But I understood the lien attaching being referring to the paragraph above or paragraph A where the city can, if you fail to comply with keeping the property up to the required standards, say at the end of 3 years, and you've been getting the exemption, the city goes back and recaptures those years. That's what I saw that lien as meaning. Because this talking about what actions the city could take if to recapture what the city has given as an incentive.
Well, I guess my feeling on all of this, just it's from state guidelines, but that's why we have a building inspector and code enforcement officer that are people that are with the historic district. And if they understand the determination of this, I mean, because either way, it doesn't matter what the lien is. If it's under recapture of taxes, the city can go back. I mean, that last sentence, the lien exists in favor of the city and the amount of the taxes and interest imposed. That's pretty clear to me.
Okay.
But-
As long as we've got, I just don't, like I say, it confused me. But if it's clear,
The last sentence clears up everything, was clear to me. The rest is legal jargon.
then other than that, that's it. And I know that was a lot of little things for you, Mr. Heap, but given the magnitude of this task, excellent, excellent job. So, having gotten through that, do I have a motion to approve the Historic Landmark Preservation Ordinance, Chapter 158, as presented, and
Ordinance number 17.03.13A,
The first one.
the big one, the long one.
I don't have that ordinance number.
And the second one was just have a B at the end instead of
Okay, what was that ordinance number again?
Okay, the chapter 158, historic landmark preservation ordinance, number 17.03.13A.
Okay, and the other one is simply a.
17.03.13B.
Okay, so do I have a motion to approve ordinance 17.03.13A and 17.03.13B
As corrected?
as corrected?
No, that was a
No,
question
no,
mark.
no,
That was a
I'm
question
glad
mark.
you added it, as corrected.
I'll make it.
Councilman Jones, that's so moved. Councilwoman Ramsey, Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Ramsey, or Councilwoman Ramsey,
Yes.
Councilman Moore,
Yes.
Councilman Jones.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0 in favor.